make presumptions, do we not? We make
Mm-hmm.
presumptions all the time. So we assume Federal Reserve notes, right? So what do? We make our payments in Federal Reserve notes. Guess what? The IRS will not accept Federal Reserve notes. Why? Reserve notes. Why? Because a Federal Reserve note is a promissory note, and they do not accept promissory notes as payment.
Who doesn't?
The IRS.
They don't accept promissory notes as Federal Reserve notes as payments. Then what do
They
they
don't
accept?
accept promissory notes as payments. What is a Federal Reserve note? It's a promissory note.
Uh huh.
That's why you can't take cash to the local tax office and pay taxes, because they don't accept promissory notes. The courts have ruled that promissory notes are also a form of payment. That is the reason why we can use promissory notes, aka Federal Reserve notes.
I don't know. Is anyone else here confused by that? So the courts take FRNs, but the IRS does not take FRNs. Is that what you're saying?
Correct. I'm not saying it. They say it.
Think of the Federal Reserve note as a debt note. You can't pay a debt with a debt.
Right.
Correct. There, I finally found it. Now,
He's not saying that you can't get a money order or something to that extent. He's saying that you can't use cash. They won't accept cash.
that's right. A money order and cash are not the same things. See, we tend to look at, I write a check, or I take cash, or I take a money order. We tend to think of them as all the same things. They're not. They're all legal tender. They all are ways to settle debts, but they're not the same. Now,
So,
I finally
but
found
what
it.
is?
If you look at the document that I just shared, this is the general legal definition from American jurisprudence for the word property. The legal definition of property most often refers not to a particular physical object, but rather to the legal bundle of rights recognized in that object, which bundle of rights include the rights to possess, use, and dispose of a particular article. The term property embodies more than just the physical corporal assets. It can include intangible entities, such as rights and interests. See, you have rights, but can you hold them? No. They're intangible. Rights and interest are only in the tangible item. So back to the guy that talked about his children were his property. And the judge said, no, they're not. Why? They say, well, you can't own people. They know that he didn't know the definition of property. I would have come back to the judge and said, wait a minute, Your Honor. That's my offspring. I have rights and interest in that offspring.
So what I've been taught.
How they are not my property.
What I've been taught about legalese is that you don't want to call them children. You want to say your son or daughter, just like you don't want to be a person, you want to be a man or a woman.
That's why I said
I don't even know if offspring is the one of the legalese traps, but
definitely not kids because I don't have baby goats.
Well,
yeah, but
offspring that comes from Bible, just like
children,
daughter comes from the Bible.
Children is a legal definition. So if you define them in a legal definition, then you are setting the jurisdiction that way. You know what I mean?
Yeah, to a degree, you're right.
I would like you to go further on about the, how you got on the money thing and you can pay the courts, but not the IRS with FRNs. So tell us how that is significant or how that helps, settle things or, empower you or whatever.
That is under the congressional record of March 9th, 1933. How did they create this New Deal? What was the purpose? The congressional record of March 9th, 1933 actually lays out the purpose.
The purpose is?
I gotta go find it. So
I just don't see, you kind of talk in, mysteries, saying like you're saying, or how it helps us. So then we're sort of left to sort of try to figure out, it's like you're giving us pieces, but you're not there kind of thing.
I'm giving you their pieces because they admit everything.
I really don't understand what is significant about the courts accepting FRNs, but the IRS not accepting FRNs. I just don't get that. I don't get what your point is on that.
The IRS is a debt collector. So if they are collecting debts, why would they want to be paid with a debt note? Whereas the court is a bank.
So then, but IRS is paid by what? Like usually checks or electronic, transferring of funds, right?
No.
So you're saying
they are actually paid in securities because there's only two ways to pay anything: a promissory note or a security.
So the security is what?
Under the UCC, anything that has a maturity date of 9 months or less is a promissory note. 9 months or more than 9 months is a security. That is the only type of legal tender we have in our system here.
Okay, so I think you need to go further. Explain it further.
There's a guy in Greensboro that my dad did a job for. He was a secured party creditor. My dad was telling him about all the stuff that we've done. The guy was finishing every sentence. That's when Dad realized this guy knew the secured party creditor process intimately. His house is valued over $2 million. And Dad looked at him and said, so everything you've got is in a trust? He said, yeah. And they got to talking about taxes. Okay? And Dad said, yeah, no, he told my dad, he said, yeah, the IRS sent him a letter one time saying he owed so much in taxes. So what did he do? He went home that night, sat on his computer, wrote out a payment bond, and sent it to the IRS. They sent him back a letter that said, thank you for your payment. Dad said, wait a minute. You didn't send them an international bill of exchange? He said, nope. Because they just take that payment bond and put it on the market. Take it to the Treasury. The Treasury, in turn, sells it to the Federal Reserve. No bank can loan money. They can only buy promissory notes and securities. That's the reason the Treasury gets the ability to print Federal Reserve notes, because the Federal Reserve agrees to buy the securities. You should go watch the Gordon Hall appeal. It's a 25-minute video. Okay?
What is that?
Gordon Hall, you familiar with that name, right?
No.
He was, what was the guy's name you listed earlier? The guru guy, Winston Shrout. He was in the group with Winston Shrout and those people. Gordon Hall wrote a $22 trillion international bill of exchange for the national debt. He got arrested for tax fraud. But now go listen to the appeal and pay. He made two mistakes as the reason why he got in trouble. One, you can't do it for the national debt. You're not allowed to free everyone. The second thing he did was he used ABA routing numbers. That's protected under public rights doctrine because of Congress's power to regulate currency. Okay? But pay close attention to what the judge said, in the middle judge, the older judge. He looks at the U.S. attorney and says, you can't charge him with tax fraud. He said, because the expert witness that testified in court said the International Bill of Exchange met every legal requirement to be a valid bill of exchange. In other words, it was a legal form of payment.
So what did he do? He wrote
an international bill of exchange for the national debt.
Okay. But you can't do it for the national debt, you're saying?
No. You can only do it for your debt.
Okay.
Now here we go. Here's the congressional record of March 9th, 1933. Okay. They placed us under a bank holiday. Okay. It says under the new law, obligations. Now let's see. Under the new law, the money is issued to the banks in return for government obligations, bills of exchange, drafts, notes, trade acceptances, and bankers' acceptances. The money will be worth 100 cents on the dollar because it is backed by the credit of the nation. Now that tapping, please stop. Whoever's tapping on their phone screen. It will represent a mortgage on all the homes and other property of the people of the nation. Now, why did I bring up the word property? In other words, it's the rights and interest. So they mortgaged all the homes and your rights and interests to provide the new currency. The money so issued will not have 1 penny of gold coverage behind it because it is really not needed. We do not need gold to back our internal currency. We only need gold to settle our balances with foreign countries. Our people do not actually use gold as a medium of exchange. Paper money is just as good and is much easier to handle. However, if gold is desired as a backing for paper money, we have a sufficient amount to permit the issuance of 5 billion more money and still have a gold reserve of 40%. See, when they created this currency, they laid out what it would be: obligations of the United States. Now, how did they set up the obligations? Under the trust. How do they track the obligations? Through the social. The problem is you don't know who you are as a player in the game, and it is a symbiotic relationship. They can't balance your portion of the books because you're not filing the proper paperwork for them to be able to. Yet, you turn around and call it fraud when they sit here and tell you everything they did, but you don't go read it. Now, just to...
So did your father learn how that guy did it and do it for himself?
My dad don't... Me and my father don't file taxes.
No, I mean, like, how he did the thing for his house or something. Or maybe not.
Taxes.
Okay, you're talking about taxes.
We don't file taxes. When I get a letter in the mail, I'll handle things accordingly.
Hey, real quick question, Pastor. In theory, anybody could write that for what he wrote then to dissolve that? I mean, one person tried to do it, and that you're saying everybody has the ability to write one.
Yes.
You mean that everybody can write that to, quote, settle whatever debts?
If you know the principles and how to defend it, yes. And Shane, thank you for speaking up. Shane knows my dad, so he can tell you if I speak about my dad, I'm telling the truth.
100%. Now, what was the name of that he wrote again, just so I can research?
A payment bond.
And
Yeah, so
just about everything that Pastor's father has is in a trust. Just about everything.
Yeah, and that's my wife.
Susan, the what he was telling you in the thing about the lawful money with the and then you earlier in the conversation you were talking about how a friend did the accept for value and all that kind of stuff. That is what's called a banker's acceptance. So that is one of those things on the list that Pastor just told you about.
Mm-hmm. Go look at Title 18 USC 8. See, when you go to court, I had a conversation with an attorney in North Carolina, and his name is Mike Slosser. You can look him up. He's classified as a top attorney. And he asked me one day, he said, how good are you at contracts? I said, Mike, everything's a contract. I don't care if it's a civil case or a criminal case. He said, well, I don't agree with that. I said, why? Because, see, Mike was a criminal defense attorney, a big-time attorney. He took down a judge. Okay? If he had lost that case, he would have been blackballed.
He was
He took down a judge for corruption. Yeah, he was a district attorney too. And Mike, I said, why do you not agree with that? I said, when you were defending your clients and the judge asked you questions, did you ever ask the judge to define the words, or did you presume to know what he meant? And guess the look on his face was priceless. And after that, he started teaching his attorney buddies what I was teaching him. When you go to court, traffic ticket, I never called it a ticket. I called it an instrument of value, a debt instrument, because that's what it is. They're creating securities to to put on the court registry investment system? I said it's an instrument of debt. Or a debt instrument or an instrument of value, which makes it what? An obligation of the United States. And she said, are you giving me a ticket number? I said, ma'am, if you believe that's what it is, that's on you. Because by law, what is it? It's not a traffic ticket. It's an instrument of value. It's a debt instrument. When you look at Title 18 U.S.C. 8, that makes it an obligation of the United States.
So how do you turn it into an obligation of the United States instead of your obligation?
By knowing what it is.
And then what? What do you do?
I didn't turn it into nothing. It is what it is.
So then how do you keep yourself from getting in trouble? Let's put this down into practical terms. Like, what would you do if there's some notice that came that you are fined or you are, you've got some whatever? What would you do?
Go rescind it, Dodo.
In that case, I went through a DOT inspection. I'm a commercial truck driver. And I got a ticket for a tail light, for my reverse light being out. What is a ticket under the law? Knowing the courts are banks and they monetize every single case into the municipal bond market, what is it? It's not a ticket. It's an instrument of value.
It's a coupon.
Or people say it's an offer.
It is an offer because what is any negotiable instrument comes with an offer and an acceptance. Mm-hmm. But that doesn't negate the fact at its root it is an instrument of value, because every single contract is an instrument of value. It has value to someone. So if it's an instrument of value under Title 18 U.S.C. 8, that makes it an obligation of the United States under the New Deal. And the New Deal was established March 9th, 1933.
Okay, so you still haven't said what you would do if you got a fine or some notice of fine.
In that case, what did I do? I just told the clerk what it was and who the secured party was. The secured party was the United States. She says, "Are you the name?" I said, "Ma'am, that name is owned by the United States, and they're the secured party in this matter. And I am just the beneficiary, and it is my duty to notify the principal of anything that affects its interest."
And then what did she do?
Can you hold? She says, "Can you hold?" And she come back a minute later and says, "Well, that matter's been sealed and dismissed." That was 12 days before the supposed court date.
What about UCC 9-307?
I didn't tell her anything about a UCC.
So basically, you just told her this. You didn't have to write anything. You just told it to her, and then she talked to someone and got it dismissed.
Yes.
Now, did she send you anything confirming that? Because I know some others have never got anything made done.
The signed order, Shane, is on my TikTok.
Yeah, I'm just doing this for her benefit, not mine.
Yeah. The signed, me and Fearless Floyd on his YouTube channel, you can see the redacted order on his YouTube channel. So yes, she sent the signed order. She didn't want to at first. Fearless Floyd has a copy of the phone recording, because I recorded the phone call. And my wife just spoke up. Yes, She did send the order, but she only sent the order after I declared who I was and did a demand letter to her and gave her 10 days to do it. Now, the supposed court date was March 28th. That's a Monday. She received my demand notice on the 24th and must have went, oh shit, because she went and printed the order out that day, went right back to the post office, and express mailed it to my house from upstate New York all the way to North Carolina, and it got there over the weekend, and it was at my house on the 20th.
So what is the order? What are you talking about, order?
They sealed and dismissed the case. That
order. That's called an order?
Yeah, it was an order the judge signed to seal the record and dismiss the case.
So I've been hearing this thing that dismissal is not the same thing as discharge, because dismissals can be overturned or whatever, right?
That's correct.
Discharge is not the same thing as offset.
So, like, you really want to try to discharge the case. Is that one of your videos that you posted? I don't know. I saw it somewhere.
On Rumble, yeah. The first video was the ticket. Just a little 2-3 minute, a little 1 minute video of the ticket.
Uh-huh. So how do you get a ticket discharged?
I'd have probably done something different.
It depends on the ticket, I'm sure.
Well, it depends on the process, too. But to me, dismissed was good enough.
Well,
they want to make their money. Okay, fine. Go make your money. Just leave me out of it.
I've heard dismissal. They can re-bring the action, though.
Yeah.
So what if they bring it back? Don't you think I'll know how to handle that? I recorded the phone call.
Okay. I got my ticket dismissed by a friend helped me do a notice of fictitious obligation. So basically, I first tried a common law letter, which another friend, a truck driver, helped me with, and that didn't work. They just ignored it. And then I tried acceptance for value, which my friend helped me with, and that didn't work either. And they just ignored that. And so then I tried this notice of fictitious obligation, and then my ticket got dismissed. And what was different with the first common law letter was that it made them accountable. There's saying that, you're making a claim. So if you are making a false claim, this is what you owe, or something like that. And so it had sort of more teeth in it, I guess.
Mm-hmm.
So it got dismissed, but I don't know if I'm happy for now, but I don't know if dismissal is, really permanently off the record. Just in case, I wrote on
dismissal, no, it's still not sealed. They can still see it attached to the social.
Mm-hmm.
Okay? It's not attached to you. You are just playing the part as the registered agent for the social. That's the reason why Brian Parker, what actually is a ticket? It's a bill of attainder. That's the reason why when he resigned as registered agent, they got rid of all those bills of attainders. But if you resign as registered agent, you're kind of giving up some control, and that's what KW talked about, in my opinion, is why he feels like he shouldn't have handled things the way he did.
What is the bill of attainder?
In a second, I'll tell you.
That's interesting that if you resign as agent, the bills of attainders disappear.
Mm-hmm.
I've got something on that, and it's basically illegal. It's unlawful, definitely. It's judgment before trial. Actually, it's like
Are
a
you looking
predetermined outcome.
Are you looking it up in Black's Law Dictionary?
I will try to find what I'm talking about.
That's why I said, hold on, let me look it up. A bill of attainder. First definition, archaic, a special legislative act that imposes a death sentence on a person without trial. 2, a special legislative act prescribing punishment without a trial for a specific person or group. Bills of attainder are prohibited by the U.S. Constitution. Also termed Act of Attainder. Now, what is a traffic ticket? It's a debt instrument. They already are trying to put a debt to you before there's actually a trial. Because what is a ticket? It's a debt instrument.
And that's why they'll dismiss rather than discharge, because they pay it on the dismiss, but not the dismiss.
What do they tell you? Oh, we'll dismiss the case as long as you pay the fine. They need to make the trust profitable. And they put these negotiable instruments called municipal bonds onto the court registry investment system.
I bet they're busy.
Which ultimately goes to the Treasury and the Federal Reserve so the government can print currency.
Where is the the evidence for that these things are traded as bonds and it goes to some
Okay.
I will share the video where I found my QSIP number on Fidelity.
And I very seriously doubt that you are going to be accurate. No offense, because I would be.
I'm going to post pictures.
Hold on. What you've done, I've done. I would be willing to bet I've went through the same process, and it is not hard evidence. It is only a presumption.
What, the fact that we have QSIP numbers?
No, not just QSIPs. Fidelity shut that down years ago.
I did this last week.
Like I said. Just saying. Go ahead, share your video.
So what are you saying? The QSIP doesn't prove that we have a QSIP number and that they use that to trade?
No, the QSIP numbers is how securities are tracked. And yes, back in the day, it was known to go to Fidelity and look it up. Fidelity shut that down because it got exposed almost 10 plus years ago. So every process that everybody has put out there to go to Fidelity, I've done. So people today, no offense, Jeff, that says I went to Fidelity and found it, I doubt it. Because I've tried every possible way to do the same thing, and I get nothing. And I know I am not just this invisible person floating around out there.
I like it.
Just like everybody says, I never make statements that I don't provide proof for. So I'm whether it's legitimate or not, whether it's real or not, all I did was put the numbers on my birth certificate in there the way that I was shown, and it brought up what it brought up.
Yes, but
I'm listening to.
Here's the thing you're missing. Anywhere on that so-called QSIP, when you pull up the QSIP to track it, do you find your name anywhere?
It's a valid point.
You're making a presumption. I just shared the link and the PDF for the diagram of how it's laid out. And it gives you a long list underneath of minor accounts. And they're all federal court case docket numbers. And I very seriously doubt they're dealing with children.
Yeah, I saw that Fearless's video on YouTube about where he brought up, all the bonds under his name, all of his court cases and whatnot. That's one of the
only true way to find the CUSIP numbers attached to the estate is you got to go to an actual broker that deals in securities and pay them to find them. Because they can not only show that the name is attached, they can give you the details on the value of each of the bonds.
And I don't
the problem
know
is
people
those in the investment arena that know this, that have access to a Bloomberg terminal, 99% of them are going to ignore you because they will get kicked out of the club if it is found out that they're doing it.
And you need a 7 series, not any.
And hopefully, a friend of mine will, at some point this year, get her investment license because she's actually going to assist in this. We've been talking about it, and she says she's going to look at doing it.
Okay, so going back to the registered agent, you're saying the proof is in, like Brian Parker's story where the bill of attainders disappeared and whatever. So it's basically something that you infer, but it's not actually written anywhere and documented anywhere.
What's not documented?
That you're a registered agent until you just decide you're not.
Is it documented like if you go down to the Secretary of State's office and do a business search for an LLC? No, it is not documented like that. Correct. But is it?
But don't they have to?
No.
Don't they? Why not? Because I mean, aren't they supposed to tell us everything they do?
Did they not tell you back in the day? Don't you remember back in the day that they said do not use the Social Security account as identification? And what did the people do? See, the government is giving the people what they want. The people said, okay, yeah, we saw where it said don't use for identification, but the people chose to use it for identification anyway. Because why? Oh, they asked for it. The government tried to warn you. So what did they do? They took it off.
Then how do you explain the coercion of having to fill out a bail form to get out of their illegal confinement kidnapping whenever you bail out, because they extort your social out of you, or you don't bail out?
It's not your social.
But it's also not to be requested either.
It's
you shouldn't be forced to provide it.
If that's a moot point.
Before Shopify, were you wondering, where are my sales at? But now you're selling with Shopify. You're easily selling online, in person, and beyond. Discover how millions of entrepreneurs use Shopify to ignite their selling. Sign up for a $1 per month trial period at shopify.com/YouTube audio.
If that's a moot point, you said your social. Give me evidence that it's yours.
That is a valid, and I don't claim that it is mine, but it's in their laws. It's in their laws that it's not to be requested. Is it not?
He who makes the claim has the burden of proof. If you say it's in the law, show the law. By the way, you shared your pictures. I already told you ahead of time. I've done the same thing.
I'll redact all the redactions. I'll take the covers off.
The point is, I did the very same thing you did in front of my wife, printed it out, analyzed everything when it comes to the ticker symbol. I looked mine up the same way. And what do you not see? See, you were making a presumption because you punched in numbers that it's your social. It is no different than the GMEI utility.
It wasn't my social, but I know it's not mine. I don't claim anything is. And to be all honest,
the point I'm getting at is those numbers. I'm presuming are the digits on the card you hold.
On the birth certificate, not the social.
Okay, whatever document you're using, you're making the presumption that because I typed those numbers in, that it ties to that, but you have no concrete evidence that it does. You just accessed the database, punched in some numbers, it gave you a ticker symbol with no evidence that it's actually that.
I get what, and I don't even care about having, unlimited credit or anything. I just want out either way. Even if I don't win my battles in this B system, if I'm not worthy enough, I'm just gonna freaking disappear out into the middle of nowhere, be a freaking hermit, live off the land. I don't care. Either way, I'm getting out. Doesn't matter if I accomplish what I want to or not. I mean, because it's like, I think it says in Revelation or whatnot, like, you should love God first. You shouldn't even love your own children before God. So if I'm not worthy enough, then either way, I'm disappearing.
Now, Susan, you got disconnected. Let's see. She got disconnected. She'll be back maybe. There she is. You got disconnected. See, it's the one thing I try to teach people is when you're looking at all of this information that different people put out, keep an objective eye. Just because it looks shiny and pretty doesn't mean it is. I don't want you to take my information as the gospel. I want you to look at the documents I present, come to your own conclusion. I might be wrong about something, and if I am, I'm willing for you to come back and point it out, because guess what? That's how I learn.
I don't even want all the benefits. I don't want all the securities. I don't want anything. I just want this connection.
That's fine. I understand you don't want it, but before you can even get out, you got to first understand what it is. You've been at this 6 months. Yusufel says it right. On average, it takes someone 3 years of study just to get to the point of a certain level of competency to be able to stand in court and handle your own affairs. A minimum 3 years. Because there is so much to learn. I've been at it for 10. And I can tell you, he ain't wrong. That's the reason why I teach the way I teach. Because some people don't have 3 years.
That would be me. And I do like listening to Yusuf.
I endorse him. He knows who I am. If I get on his show, he knows me by voice.
So, I mean,
if
good
he
company.
knows when I come, he knows when I come on there, I bring evidence. Now, can I call him on the phone? Shoot, I wish I could. But that man right there is so popular and busy. Yeah, you're going to have to pay him to talk to him. And I understand why he does it, because he can't freaking leave his phones open for everyone.
Who?
Because Yusufel. Because every Tom, Dick, and Harry would be calling you.
Well, I wouldn't, because I heard that he's not it.
Oh,
I know
he's
some.
actually. Now, am I going to say that he's perfect? No. But the man's not dumb. I've went behind him on so much stuff, and I've never proved him wrong. Does he withhold information? To a degree, yeah. One, you can't put everything in the public.
I don't know. I don't find his videos clear. I find them way too long. So I heard that, and I'm sure that this is true, that there's a lot of controlled opposition out there to suck our energy, time, and money, right? And so
Yeah.
my question is, how do you tell from that as opposed to another person? This is why I try to create a group of people who have different listened and followed different people and exchange our experiences, so it's called Exit the Matrix course reviews or something like that. But anyway,
what I look at as controlled opposition?
What?
And that is the people that can't accept being questioned. David Straight, for example.
Uh-huh.
You question David Straight, what is his response? Well, you just don't believe in God. Because if you believed in God, you would believe in me. He has actually said that to me.
Usually he just ignores or deflects. Like he doesn't answer,
Not only that, look at the people he's put in jail.
Who?
You know Ryan Bundy out in Utah, don't you? The Bundy family?
Uh-huh. Yeah.
Ryan Bundy, you remember Ryan Bundy got put in jail, but David Straight said it was him that got him out. No, it wasn't.
Well, what about his
Ryan
claim?
Bundy. He's the
Yeah,
reason
David.
Ryan Bundy went to jail, and it was Jeremy Baker that got Ryan Bundy out.
Well, David Straight, I can just tell from his tall tales and stuff that he's not really it. Like, I didn't even need to see anything else. I just listened to him and just spotted a lot of BS. So, and anyone who says that they used to be military intelligence, that's a red flag, So, I don't.
He said he had 3 forefathers on the Mayflower or something like that, and also, did he really get all of the justices on the West Virginia Supreme Court off the bat?
No, and then he talks about saving all these children from child trafficking. Hey, where's the proof, guy? I mean, he makes himself out to be a hero, and he's just full of stories. These are all just made up stories.
And I absolutely.
I actually went to.
She's the fiduciary of the United States.
Who?
Anna Von Reitz.
Anna Von Reitz.
Oh, yeah.
Fiduciary for the United States.
I actually went to one of David's meetings a month ago, and I couldn't even stay for the whole thing.
Those two people, if I had to say out of anybody, they're agents.
Oh, yeah.
And David Strait in court looked at the judge, and I think it's in the Ryan Bundy case, says, and he looked at the judge and says, "Don't you know who I am?" And the judge said, "Oh, Mr. Strait, we all know who you are." Now, that kind of was a big red flag for me. So when you talk about controlled opposition, those are the two biggest names out there for a reason.
Yeah.
I do have to give him credit for opening my eyes initially.
Yusuf fail. You've said that over and over, Jeff. Yusuf fail. Actually, I don't see as controlled opposition. Here's why. I've watched his YouTube channel get completely wiped out with no warning at all. I have watched certain videos he has posted. Hold on. Certain videos he has posted that would continually get put down because he was showing how the public and private don't mix. And it was their diagram, the legal diagram. I have
Only the truth gets censored.
Just mysteriously get taken down, and he wouldn't even know it. And you would ask him, "Hey, where did your video go?" He said, "Well, it's on my channel." "No, it's not. It's gone." And he'd go look. Sure enough, it was. But
Yeah, he might not be
he's a
controlled up,
saint?
but I don't think he knows it. You know, he knows enough. I mean, I had a friend who tried and paid him to mentor or consult him, and he said that he left him hanging. He just took the money, led him part of the way, and just left him hanging. So
you can show the information, you can't make one understand.
That's right.
I don't think so. I don't think so. I don't think he's got it. I don't think he's got the answer.
I think he's got a lot of answers.
I think he's an opportunist. He's like one of those guys, I notice a lot of black guys, because that's what I run into a lot. They offer their quote.
Have you lost Medicaid or CHIP? At healthcare.gov, 4 out of 5 customers can...
know what's going on. Exactly. Ain't no shortcuts to this shit. That's the problem. Everybody think it's a shortcut. Hey, this guy can come in and give me solutions, and the shit sound good till you put it in the application and do the shit really work. No.
I'm not gonna lie.
They didn't tell you how to enforce your rights. What is your name? I refuse to answer. No.
Yeah, my daughter just sent us the paperwork to the court. Her case was dismissed. So
What is your address?
she was she had some tickets or some stuff like that. Going to court, she sent in some stuff to the court, and they dismissed the case.
What did she send? That's what I'm asking.
I think she sent the affidavit of truth that I gave her. She sent in
affidavit of walking hard?
Huh?
Well, affidavit of walking hard?
Well, it says just affidavit of truth. I'm not sure if that's the same thing.
Oh, it's they're different. Something they made.
They dismissed the case. They just dismissed it. And what else did she say? Improper jurisdiction and venue.
Hey, PP, check your what you call it? I just sent you the information to join the course. I just sent you the link. You see what I'm saying, fam? I just sent you the link, and I just sent you the books. I just sent you books to read.
And that conditional acceptance works too, guys, because that's basically telling.
Oh, he's not a mover and a shaker.
Prove to me
He's a scammer and a player.
Prove to me there's real money. Prove it to me. I'll give you money, but prove to me that I owe it to you, and prove to me that there's real money for me to pay you with.
Now,
exactly, and that's why the affidavit of Walker Todd is so fire.
Mm-hmm. I never heard of that one.
Yeah, look into that one. That's why that shit is so fire, because it addresses that. Miss Maya Carter said, "Who wants to partner with her?"
Who? Who said that?
Maya said, which one wants to partner with her?
You know, put on the class, man. Chip in. So y'all can get it for half price. That's what she's saying. We want to partner up.
Said somebody said Ruby sent you the link. Ruby, you gotta sign up, OG. I'm gonna hit somebody. This is it. I guess this link is basically based on what you give me and how you address it. Because from the last class, I had about 16 people in the class more. So according to what's new, I should hopefully be expecting double.
I'm a state national. You're already making the wrong presumption. You're making a presumption that you're a U.S. citizen with no evidence, so you have to change something that you don't even know what it is. How can you change something you don't even know what it is? That right there is acting as an infant. You're making presumptions. So when you get, now let's see here. You see this right here?
Yeah, I think Eric's with us.
How you doing, brother?
I made it. Good to be here.
How you feeling, man?
You know, like Floyd is looking.
You can't fast forward these things. Now, is this a 100% across the board? No, it's. Now you have documents.
Didn't pay much money.
Okay. Right here. You see this? This is a prenatal contract. Now, is this a 100% across the board? No, it's not. There are people that know the system that did not do it this way. Okay? Personal experience, I was talking to a lady that does foster care out in Arizona. Her excuse to justify what she does is she doesn't take children under the age of 12. She knows how corrupt the system is. And I was telling her about the birth certificate and all this stuff, and she said, oh yeah, I know about that. She said, that's why my stuff is done different. They can't touch my son. I said, what do you mean? She said, well, I went into labor and my aunt is a big time attorney in California, and I called her, said, look, I'm going into labor. She said, I'm on my way. This attorney lady brought a notary. They didn't sign a single contract, didn't fill out any papers. The attorney came in, claimed the estate, signed the papers, and did everything. But what does that last sentence right there in that paragraph say? This authorization and assignment. What are you giving assignment of? The mother and the offspring? Or what I showed the other week, products of conception? Authorization and assignment is a permanent one-time signature which will remain on file and will be used for future claims. I may revoke it at any time by written notice. So you gave an assignment because you didn't read the contract. And what did you give an assignment of? This is out of Tennessee, by the way. This is actually a Tennessee contract. So, this was done before birth. This is when you went to the hospital and you started filling out the paperwork for care. Now, let's go here. KRS 213.051. The only reason I do the Kentucky is because Kentucky is pretty, I know it by heart. And that's because of KW. I watched his video years ago. The person who assumes the custody of a live-born infant. You see this phrase here? Live-born. It's also termed live birth. It's a legal term. That means it was born alive, but it could be dead. Okay? A live-born infant of unknown parentage. Why is it unknown parentage? Go back to the contract. You gave assignment over the problem. Over the
right. So
you gave assignment over the infant. of unknown parentage shall report on a form and in a manner prescribed by the state registrar within 5 working days to the Cabinet for Health and Family Services the following information: date and place of finding, sex and approximate birth date of child, name and address of the person or institution with which the child has been placed for care, which is who? The hospital. Oh, ain't that what you signed the contract for care? Name given to the child by the custodian of the child. The child and the infant are synonymous. The infant and the baby is not. Okay? The place where the child was found shall be entered as the place of birth. The report registered under this section shall constitute the certificate of birth for who? The infant or the child. If the child is identified and a certificate of birth is found or obtained, you mean to tell me they lost it in 5 days? No, that is not what they're saying. They're not saying that whatsoever. In other words, if the parents ever come forward, what happens? The report register of this section shall be placed in a special file and shall not be subject to inspection except upon order of a circuit court.
Interesting use of word special there.
Mm-hmm.
These people cannot claim they've been trafficked when they signed the paperwork.
Well, not just that. Let's see. They can't claim all the things they're claiming because it has nothing to do with them. It's not their name. Oh, my mother gave it to me. Ah, let's analyze that under the law. 1, that is hearsay. You have no firsthand knowledge. 2, unfortunately, guys, men and women, your mother was incompetent during birth. Ask any woman, would you consider yourself competent during that time? Hell no.
Oh,
they're in an excruciating amount of pain.
Come on, you know most of the women drive themselves to the hospital.
I know.
Competent to drive. They're perfectly competent to do everything, right?
Now, yeah, I know. Tell me about it. The only thing my wife was competent for at that time was punching me every time she had a contraction.
Yeah, how about breaking my hand? She was very competent in breaking my left hand that she had a hold of.
That's right.
Now, competency level.
Now check this out, y'all. Let's see. Here's Illinois. Is that not word for word almost identical to what I read to you out of Kentucky?
Oh, wow. And that's point
let's see. Minnesota, reporting a foundling. Not word for word the same, but subdivision 1 and subdivision 2, the principles are still there.
Absolutely.
Nevada. Oh, wait a minute. That one looks almost like Kentucky. Look at this. I found almost every state.
Awesome.
Rhode Island. Look at that. Rhode Island. Oh, that looks familiar. So when I'm telling y'all the things I'm telling you, it's because of the documentation. They're not after you, the man. You, the man, you, the woman, the flesh and blood person, they're not after you. You're ignorant of what they set up, and you think it's about you. Well, that's pride. And you know, pride goes before a fall.
Yeah, personal responsibility. When you made a mistake, you have to undo your mistake. Stop pushing it on to other people. It's their fault. It's their fault. It's their fault. No, it's actually your responsibility, and it was your fault. So pick up the pieces and read, educate yourself, and move forward slowly but surely.
Now, here's something for you. Let me find it right quick. I did a full video breaking this down. It's on my Rumble channel. But here you go. This was my birth record. Okay? Look at this. This was the firstborn infant to this type O Rh positive mother. Now, why do they not name the mother here? Because the mother gave an assignment over the infant. They don't know who the mother is. Why? Because the mother's an informant. You can't make her testify against herself. Whose expected date of confinement, wait a minute, confinement? Ain't that what it says right there? Confinement?
It does. And
Projected.
firstborn, I wonder what's second-born and third-born.
Well, firstborn is not, I don't really pay attention to that too much because why? I was the firstborn child.
Well, no, I'm thinking that the second-born is the cord and the third-born is the placenta.
Could be, if you apply it that way, it could be.
No.
So the projected date of confinement was 9/24/73.
Brother, why this is important though is because they have to mention the firstborn, and they can leave out the second and third without being named.
Yeah. Now, why is it confinement? Because the mother's incompetent. She is under medical care.
And in custody.
That's right. The infant at the time of birth was given an APGAR score of 9. Now check this out. He was found. Wait a minute. Was I lost? That tells you right there it's not about the man or woman. It's not about the baby. The infant at the time of birth was given an APGAR score of 9. No, he was found to have a birth weight of 5 pounds, 1 ounce, length 19 inches, gives all the measurements. So they found the infant. Now, look at this. The infant and the baby are not the same. Does it say here that I certified that during the discharge procedure I received my infant? No, I received my baby. This paragraph is on the same paragraph is on my daughter's, who is 12. They haven't changed the system.
Look at the confirmation. I received my baby, examined it, and determined it was mine. So you're looking at this acceptance process. It's written right there.
Yep. So the infant and the baby are not the same. Right here, page 48. What's this? This is straight from the CDC website. All 50 states are listed. The one I go to is New York because it has a key sentence. Now it's in other states too, but I just know where it's at here. Live birth is defined as the complete expulsion or extraction from its mother of a product of conception, irrespective of the duration of pregnancy, which after such separation breathes or shows any other evidence of life, such as beating of the heart, pulsation of the umbilical cord, or definite movement of voluntary muscles, which, whether or not the umbilical cord has been cut or the placenta is attached, each product of such a birth is considered live born. You see that right there before each, there's a semicolon. Everything before that semicolon is for that legal phrase. Live birth or live born. And then it says here, each product. How many products are there? 3. Each product is considered live born. Which one got named by the hospital? The hospital got you to sign these papers and said, don't worry about it. We'll get this stuff recorded. You'll get your certificate in about 10 days. The hospital, by operation of law, can only record what's in its possession. Well, guess what? It's illegal to own people. It's not illegal to own the other 2 products. The other 2 products are free game. Curtis Kallenbach, yeah, I don't like some of his stuff. I've listened to some of his stuff.
And the reason why is because they're unclaimed. That's what they. What did you just read back a couple minutes ago? Yeah, 5 days.
Well, that was what the hospital had.
Okay, that's what the hospital had.
The hospital had 5 days to record it.
Yep.
Okay. Let's see.
So this
Go back.
Those 2 birth dates, the child birth date and the registrar date.
Well, look right here. It says, whoever assumes the custody. Who assumed the custody of a live living infant? Wasn't it the hospital because you gave an assignment? So that means who has to do the recording? This is in Rhode Island. Rhode Island has 4 days. Whoever assumes the custody. Who assumed the custody? Go back to the contract. You gave custody to the hospital. And for those that need to spell my channel, there it is. You can't necessarily redact the birthday sans memetics because why? That birth record has nothing to do with you. I just read a comment on my YouTube channel. Let's see here. Oh, actually, no, that's not the right one. You all. I thought that was the one he did it on. Let me see. Oh, he commented a lot. I've had a lot of comments. Let's see. Where's it at? The Real Foundation. That's it. Well, that's interesting because I took a screenshot of it and it shows it on my other thing. Let's go to YouTube Studio. Comments. Haven't responded. Right here. I have a court case in Maryland for name change style back to my Christian name and not all the capital name. The judge stated on the record that he could not do that because the all capital name is not you. How much clearer does it have to be? So what happens is because the child becomes a ward of the state, the infant, the state becomes the grantor of the trust. I've shown this numerous times. There's your list of main trustees for Social Security. Now, let's go to this SS, let's see, Social Security card backside. Let's go do that. Go to images. See that third sentence right there? That third, let's see, one, it says do not laminate this card, and then the fourth sentence counting that phrase. This card is property of the Social Security Administration and must be returned upon request. Period. And then the next clause, if found. In other words, if you find it, return it. But this card means what? The name and number. The card wouldn't exist without the name and number.
Yeah, joiner.
The all capital name isn't you. It's a trust. You're not a trust. How can that be you? Especially if you don't own it. I actually asked a couple attorneys that, and they both, and everyone I've asked come back and said, "Wow, we never thought of it like that." Or they said, "Well, yeah, you're right." So we run into these courts and we say that's my name like we have firsthand knowledge. And not a single one of you have firsthand knowledge. I'm not going to play it, but let's see. I recommend people go watch this one here. I'm going to play part of it.
Let me ask you a question. What is your name? What is your name?
I refuse to answer. No. My name is Johnny Carson.
How do you know that to be your name?
Well, it's on a birth certificate, legally recorded.
That's hearsay.
That's hearsay?
Of course.
It's legally recorded?
That's still hearsay. Suppose you were born, and I must assume that you were born because you're here tonight with us. There's a certificate made out not by you, certificate made out by somebody else. That a boy child was born to Mr. and Mrs. Carson, and that he was named Johnny. That doesn't mean that you know that to be the fact. That means you have read that to be the fact.
Yeah, I see what you mean. In other words, I only have to go by what is recorded.
You're pleading guilty to something that you don't know of your own knowledge.
Hear that? You're already pleading guilty to something you had that you don't even have your own knowledge of. You've been told it or read it all your life. That is hearsay. It's on my YouTube channel and my Rumble channel. And if you want to know how to spell my YouTube channel, let's see. I don't know if I'll be able to find it, but we're going to find out. Because I found a document in the Secure Transactions Guide. It was out of Minnesota. No. It was dealing with the probate court. this it? Yep, this is it. Look at this. Oh, this is the state health care laws. What does that say? This is actually in Michigan, not Minnesota, my fault. A licensed hospital shall provide appropriate space for probate court hearings on involuntary admissions if a court deems it practicable to convene at the hospital.
Yeah, and look at the licensing of the facility. That's very interesting to me.
Hospitals are licensed by the state, and the state has the right to license because of what? The public health doctrine. So are you telling me that the hospital goes down to the probate court and says, hey, we need your help, can you please come up here? No, it's not what's going on. They're running this birth records right over to their room that they have set aside for probate proceedings and stamping it and putting it in probate. And guess what? Vital Records admits it.
For quality assurance, your call may be monitored or recorded. We are open to the public by appointment only from 8 a.m. to 3:30 p.m. Monday through Friday, except for state holidays. To make an appointment, please visit us at https://vitalrecords.nc.gov.
Good morning. I don't know who I need to talk to. I might need a supervisor, but I don't know. I'm trying to see what I need to do to get some information about my birth record.
What do you mean, information about your birth record?
Well, I have a copy of the birth certificate, the certificate of live birth, but I need to know what the other dates are on it. Like, I know that the supposed, well, let me see here. Now, listen, before I continue this little segment, because they make an admission, you kind of got to talk a little bit naive with these people. Why? If you go in there telling what you're trying to get for the reason you're trying to get it, they're not going to give it to you. Because why? They can't really expose the game. Sometimes play nice with the people, have just enough knowledge to get yourself in trouble, so to speak, but not too much knowledge. But play nice, be honorable. These people are people too. They got families just like you. They're just working a job. Now, I want y'all to listen, because I'm going to get to the point where I ask this segment, this lady, a specific question. Let me see if I can, I'll pull it up. There's also a file date and another date on it.
So where did you get that certificate from? It's just
from y'all. From y'all.
You got it? Okay.
Yeah.
So when did you get that from here?
Give me a second. I'm trying to pull it up.
Okay,
now.
sure.
Let's see. There ain't no way to fast forward, or I would. First. There it is. So I got this. This was issued on 3/22/2011.
Okay, your name is? You said, okay, what is your name? You said?
Yeah.
Okay.
And my family name is...
Okay, and what are your questions in reference to that?
I have a couple of questions, and I know it's different in different states. Okay. It says the birth date is, and it says date record. The next date on it is in some states they have something called the Book of Life, and there is a date in that book. I'm trying to see what that date may be. And then I have a couple other questions about other information that's on this certificate. Okay, the other date on the certificate is, I'm wondering what that date is. And then in some jurisdictions, and it may be the same in North Carolina, there's another date where it is entered into the Book of Life, and I'm wondering what that date is.
Now, which places are you talking about have a Book of Life?
It's different states.
Which states are you speaking of specifically? Give me.
Alabama has one.
Okay. Because every state is different. Some places have them and some places do not.
What does North Carolina have?
We have the birth certificate for you. So we issue out to you.
Okay. Now, what are the different dates where everything is filed? Okay.
That's the date that it is filed.
Okay. So, what date is the file date?
It's the date that you that's on on your birth certificate. It has date record was filed, which is the date that it was filed.
Can you tell me what that date is?
Well, what date is on the birth certificate that you have?
It says there is a birth date of.
Correct. Mm-hmm.
That is not the file date.
Correct. But
file date. What is the file date?
But if you're reading from that birth certificate that was issued from here, that file date is on there.
You talking about the 3/22/2011?
No, that's not the file date. Because that's not the date. That's not the year you were born.
Yeah.
If it was the other date, you said another date that was on there. Okay, well that's your file date.
Okay, what are there any other dates in August where that is pertaining to this? That's what I'm asking for.
Pertaining to your birth?
Yes.
It is not.
When was the? Now let me ask you this question. The date under the date issued, it gives a number. It says, what is that number?
On your birth record?
Yeah, on the certificate of live birth, there is an identifying number of.
That's just the number that we assign to the certificates that are printed.
Okay, what's the purpose of that number?
That's for us here, just in case we need to look up something here. That's for us.
Well, I understand that, but what is the purpose of it? What is it called?
That's just to identify a number of your certificate that we use here. Now, the customers are not to know all the inside information that goes on here. It's just things for us here. As far as your birth record, we don't go into detail because our information here is not public record, so we don't go into a lot of detail when it comes to that.
The serial number on it. How is that serial number assigned, and what is it for?
It's just like
it's a red number.
This for us is if you're writing someone a receipt. They always have numbers already on that receipt that you issue to the individual.
Now, can you tell me when the probate file was recorded?
No, sir.
But there is a probate file.
So if you want to do, so we as I said, we don't get into a lot of the information because it's not public. A lot of this is not public record, not for the customers.
Okay.
There's certain things we can,
So can I speak to a manager? That's what I wanted you to hear. So the red number or the serial number isn't what people say it is. It's a receipt number. Because why? They're sending you a negotiable instrument. The serial number that on this one happens to be on the bottom and it's in red. What did she call it? She called it a receipt number. Well, what did they give you a receipt for? Now, the probate file, go back to the document I shared a minute ago. Probate proceedings. Why? Because the placenta, the infant, did die. So the infant died intestate. No will. Why? You want to talk about a real absentee father problem? The only person there at the hospital that was competent to declare the intent and use of the name was the father. Doesn't the Bible say that the offspring is the seed of the father? Yes, it does. The father had firsthand knowledge, and the father never declared the intent and use. Talk about an ultimate absentee father problem. Since the infant is deceased, how many times have you ever heard the term, the decedent is the taxpayer? It'd help if I learned how to type. As I say, the decedent's final return on behalf of the decedent is the taxpayer, and no fiction is required with respect to determining whether the taxpayer meets the necessary requirements for Section 121, exclusion. Let's see. Henry.
Decedent sounds like a third-party position. Wonder how many products of conception there are. Oh, wait a second. There are 3.
That's right. Now, let's go. I'm going to have to do it this way because Henry Boland's. Let's see. Now, this is a Wisconsin case. It is not a Supreme Court case. But the principle's applicable. Right there. Let's see here. This was in 1912, by the way. Right here. And that every taxpayer is a Sestake trust. Wait a minute. What is Social Security? It's a trust. First trustee is the Secretary of the Treasury, the managing trustee. That's the bank. Secretary of Labor. Why? When you went and filled out a W-4 and you put the name, you put the social, you put an address, you check box U.S. citizen. Who's the employee? The employee's not you. The employee is the trust. Because why? Under the 14th Amendment, every single corporation, business, and trust is a person under the 14th Amendment having equal protection of the law. The address you put down is the address for the agent for service of process. And to the question somebody asked, said that's evidence that someone is a beneficiary. No, it's not. You're still presuming. You're not the beneficiary, because here's why you're not the beneficiary. Look at the third trustee. Secretary of Health and Human Services. Wait a minute here. Who gets Title IV funding from Department of Health and Human Services? Would that be the state? So if you're not the beneficiary and you're not the trustee, then what are you?
Definitely the holder.
Holder is different from the holder in due course.
Yep. Or minor in possession.
Yes, you are a minor in possession, yes. But it's not because you're a minor, you're acting as if you're an infant. Now, let's go here. American jurisprudence. Creation and an existence of agency. Oh, this video, for those that want to watch it later, see this right here, express or implied agency. I want you to pay attention to this second paragraph. An express agency is an actual agency created as a result of the oral or written agreements of the parties. Well, guess what? Did they ever come to you and sit down and say, hey, please sign here? No. An implied agency is also an actual agency, the existence of which as a fact is proved by deductions or inferences from the other facts or circumstances of the particular case, including the words and conducts of the parties. In other words, minimum contacts. How did you contract? Yes, I tell people read that book, Taryn. Appreciate that. I've got it in my group. It's on my link tree also, right there at the top. Gilbert's Law Summary on Agency. I got to give a brother credit too. Mr. Marine, if he hears this, Adam, he's a Marine. Marines are stubborn. And he was very angry because he said, they committed all this fraud. No, they didn't. They publish everything. And the other day he commented in my group, he said, I finally got 2 chapters left in the book you told me to read, which was that book. And he feel good. Because why? He's finally waking up to seeing how it all comes together. Now, so it's an implied agency. Now let's look at the actual see, it says right up here, it says the existence of which as a fact is proved by deductions or inferences from the other facts and circumstances of the particular case. What would that be? Vital records says what? That the state owns the record. Well, can't own people because the Northwest Ordinance forbids it. Okay? Social Security says they own that card, which is the name and everything. Go look at your personal checks under a magnifying glass. The signature line is what? Authorized representative or authorized signer. Who are you being authorized to sign for? I had one guy tell me, well, you're being authorized to sign your name. I said, oh, you need permission? Well, hey, ST, how you doing, girl? ST just joined the chat on YouTube. I'm proud of her. She's come a long ways. Me and Eric both say that about her. She's learning to ask the right questions and really getting good at this stuff. Now, let's go to the next section on back to American jurisprudence under agency. Let's see. Where's it at? Capacity of parties. Under general. Classification of agents as general, special, or universal. I always go to the last paragraph because we're going to knock it out of the park right now. Universal agent is authorized to transact all the business of the principal of every kind and do all delegable acts for the principal. Hey, brother, I see you there. Universal agents can be created only by clear and unequivocal language. It means a contract. Yeah, if you want to read 0%, go ahead and read another propaganda book. That's what I said earlier. People want to read what every guru says instead of read the government's own works. Government will tell you everything. They have to give you the option to contract with them or not. That's why when I show stuff, I show from their own sources, their own mouth. So you're not a universal agent. Because why? They never go back to the express agency. There was no written contract saying, please sign here. But a general agent is authorized to do all acts connected with the business or employment in which he or she is engaged, while a special agent is authorized to do only one or more specific acts in pursuance of a particular instructions or with restrictions necessarily implied from the act to be done. So which one are you? You're not a special agent. You're a general agent. And what's that general agent's duty? Service a process to notify the principal. And what is none of y'all doing? And Matt and Faith, you are so correct. Because one of the things I'm going to lead into after I lay this out is the whole thing of the crap of status correction. Status correction has nothing to do with citizenship. You can't correct your status. The only thing you can correct is your competency. Which book are you talking about that I recommend people to read? That's Gilbert's Law Summary on Law of Agency, Partnerships, and LLCs. And it's in my group. And it's in Floyd's group. Well, the secured party creditor is only half correct. Trust me, I've done the paperwork. mean, the whole part of learning the trust law, yes, it's good. Everything revolving around the name, it's wrong. Why is it wrong? I'm laying out the evidence that revolve around the name. If you are not the grantor, because why? You wasn't old enough to make those decisions. I can't put a link in this group, sans Medics. But if you go to my YouTube channel, this is my channel, I'm gonna comment. Well, the competency you can correct. The system changes your status because you have become competent. El Perro, that's what people are missing. People think if I go out there and correct my citizenship, that does it. Guess what? You never were a U.S. citizen. The trust is, the Social Security trust is, because why? It's a fiction. Matt and Faith, you are the registered agent, but you're not acting like one. Let's see here. And this is what the book looks like. It's 449 pages, but it starts off at the beginning. Agent's duty to principal, principal's duties to agent, sources of power, termination of agent's authority and power, prerequisite for ratification, how to ratify, limitations on power to ratify, agents acting without authority, agent acting with authority. Okay, it goes on and on. Yes, you are the registered agent. Why? You are the registered agent because what happened in 1933? Okay, let's see here. March 9th, 1933. Share as is. This is the congressional record. March 9th, 1933. You know how everybody says they stole the gold? No, they didn't. They did redefine what gold was, though. Right here. See right here where it says, under the Federal Reserve Act, obligations that are deposited as the security in gold for reserve notes are placed in the hands of the Federal Reserve agent. Well, guess what that is? Right there. See, people don't even understand what lawful money is. So they told you what the gold was. That's how they got everybody trapped into the petrodollar, because they made the obligations of the United States the new gold. Okay, now, let's go to page 5. Right up here. Under the new law, the money is issued to the banks in return for government obligations, bills of exchange, drafts, notes, trade acceptances, and bankers' acceptances. The money will be worth 100 cents of the dollar because it is backed by the credit of the nation. Here's your key. It will represent a mortgage on all the homes and other property of all the people of the nation. Now, don't they have to give equal exchange? So they mortgaged all the homes and all our property. What is property? Property isn't your tangible asset. It is your rights and interest. Sometimes your rights, titles, and interest, but mostly rights and interest. But the agent has the right to operate gratuitously. Guess what everybody's been doing, including me?
You just been tipping them. You've had such a good time.
Yeah, we've been volunteering to send our wealth to the bankers because we're acting as a gratuitous agent. Right here, American jurisprudence, the general definition of property. The legal definition of property. You're breaking up, Eric.
It's when you tip. Yeah.
Okay, try it again now that you look like you're back.
Yeah, I was saying, just look at the bottom of your check at a restaurant. It says gratuity right there. How much gratuity? 10%, 18%, 50%, 20%? It's a gift.
Which book are you asking for, San Memetics? You're talking about the one I just posted in the chat, Gilbert's Law Summary on Agency, Principal, and LLC? Or are you talking about what book am I reading the document from? Well, God is government, property of thought. Yes, intellectual property. Why? Because you have rights and interest. Look at the screen. The legal definition of property most often refers not to a particular physical object, but rather the legal bundle of rights recognized in that object. Which bundle of rights include the right to possess, use, and dispose of a particular article. The term property embodies more than just physical corporal assets. It can include intangible entities such as rights and interest. Now, if you want to know, go get a notebook. Go get notebook paper. Number your lines. You might be able to do 3 columns. Put the all caps name at the top. Write that name in every possible derivative that you can even imagine. All lowercase, all proper case, all capital letters. Move the capital letters around on the proper case to different locations. Use initials, whatever. Every one of those names you have an interest in. The question is how much? The all caps name, you have a small interest. You have a small interest. There are others that have a bigger interest because it's a creation of the state called the Social Security Act. Plus, the mother gave an assignment over the property. And CC 48, the reason it's probably the first time you're hearing it is because a bunch of people that I've tried talking to about this that go out there and teach the secured party process, they typically boot me from their group and block me. The reason I was talking about it a minute ago, why is the secured party process wrong? Because where is your authority to do a UCC1 against the name? How did you establish a security interest to do it? Where is your authority to do a 56F form for that name when you're not a trustee? Now, let's go back to what I said earlier about ownership and evidence, okay?
I'm sure that they'll tell you the verse, but I'll let you speak to someone.
I greatly appreciate it.
Yeah. And you are home? Okay, now what is your, do you have a title or anything, or you just call about your birth record in particular?
My birth record in particular.
Okay.
I want y'all to hear what this lady says at the end.
I have a couple of questions.
I want you to listen to what she says. I give you a spoiler right there in the title.
And one of them is because of the conversation I had yesterday with Vital Statistics or Vital Records in Raleigh. But the first question is because of the conversation in Guilford County when I went to record some papers. Okay? I got certified copies of my birth record. And then I made copies of that. Okay? And when I went to record my file at the Register of Deeds office in Guilford County, the lady made the statement that we can't record other counties' property. And my question is what did that actually mean? Because this is my birth record, right?
Mm-hmm. Well, any document, any birth record, marriage record, death record, or even like real estate property, it has to be recorded where the event occurred or where the property is located.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so like if you were born in Forsyth County, your record your birth certificate, it always stays where you were born.
Well, yeah, okay. But wouldn't it still be my property and not Forsyth County's?
Not with a birth record, no. Not with the birth, death, or marriage record, no.
No. So help me understand what that means. Because to me, when it says it's Forsyth County's property, that denotes ownership.
Well, it's Forsyth County property because that's where the event occurred.
Mm-hmm. Okay. So that means it is Forsyth County's. They own it.
I mean, it's your birth record because your name is on it, yes. But as far as like recording it and being able to locate it and things of that nature, it will always be where the event occurred.
Yeah. Okay. So who owns the record then?
The state of North Carolina, or whatever state that you were born.
So the state of North Carolina.
Hear that? Again, the Northwest Ordinance says you can't own people. So it's not you. No, it does not mean you are a trustee. Do what, sir?
Looks like the places are in compliance. The states are in compliance. They don't own people.
That's right. Now let's look up some words since people are bringing up words. Yeah, well, special private, the reason I said you heard your name is when you talk to these people, you can't always give up the